Okay. So it's not much, but I mean it's a first attempt at Unreal 4, I guess. So let's look at some of the code that's changed. First of all, you'll notice, or maybe you noticed there was a UI. Um, so each game mode that the game starts with has a HUD, like the shooter prototype has like a HUD class already in it. So I'm just adding things to the HUD. Um, the score is this. The game mode get score. Basically, so unlike in Unity where you can kind of place the HUD elements kind of dynamically and kind of a nice to see scene, there's something like that in here called a widget. You can do something called a blueprint widget, I believe it's called, and which I did for the main menu. I'll show you that. But here I'm just kind of placing text sort of by numbers, by literally by floating point, just putting them by a making a vector and saying it goes here, draw the item here. So I've got the let's just call this score, and there's the score, and then here's the timer that counts down. Now the timer itself turned out to be a real pain in the ass. So Unreal 4 has something called a timer manager, and it has its own timer system built in. I could have gone into a tick function for any one of the actors or made a new actor and then just had it count down by float, like by delta time, decrease this floating point value, and that's how I did. That's how I did the lifespan on the spheres, the balls that kind of come out. But I didn't do that for this because looking it up, it seems like this is the preferred method of doing this. And I tried for a long time because you would think a timer onto the game mode should go into the game mode class. I had no luck getting the timer to set in the game mode. We'll look at the function call itself, where it is, which is the end of game timer. The end of game timer is not an actor; it is an actor component. And it seemed to work here. So we can look at get world, get timer manager, set timer. So this sets the timer, and then you create a timer handle. And the timer handle is this F timer handle. You don't have to initialize it. You just use it, and then if you reference it again, you need to make sure, I think, that the timer was... Well, no. You can... I did it with a Boolean, which I shouldn't have done. But I believe there is a timer handle like is valid, or F timer handle is valid, or F timer handle has started, or something like that. And you can probably use that, and it's fine. So you have this timer handle. You have a reference to like the calling, like the object that calls it. Then you give it a callback. Now I could not find a good description of what exactly the restrictions on what the callback are. C++ doesn't have really facilities for like lambda functions, so if I had a function that took like an int or a boolean, I don't think I could turn that into a function that didn't have arguments or something like that with like a lambda. But what I did have was this, so I just made something that was just void, it took no arguments, it logged this thing, and then it opened up the main menu again once the timer ran out. And that's the get world, get timer manager. It pauses the timer because I couldn't find a way to stop the damn thing. And it opens the level. It opens the main menu level. The main menu level is just that first thing that you saw when the game, with the two buttons, the start game, exit game, and then so the end of game timer component is actually on the player because I suppose I could put it here. I'll show. It's this thing, and I suppose I could have put that on the one of the walls or something, or I could have made a new actor and put it on there. But I figured, well, the player's always going to be there. It's always going to be active, so it's fine. And then for the HUD, I get that by getting. So that was the other thing, is that I can get from the world. I can get the character pretty easily. So I was able to get a reference to the character. Then get a reference to the component on the character. So Unreal 4 documents and Unreal 4 help that you find online. Unreal 4 has the two scripting options that it has. You can either write C++ code or you can do their blueprint thing. and most of the help you're going to find is going to be in the blueprint thing. So if I had done this in blueprints, finding all this information out how to like do this would have been way easier, but I didn't. So I had to so I needed to find I need to get this component off this character off of this actor class, and which I can do kind of like in Unity how you can like get components by, but just finding the signature for like getting the class of a actor component, this colon static the static function static class, that I had to dig around a little bit for. But eventually got it, and then you get this reference. You find, you have the timer. You get the time off the timer, which is just a public function I made that returns the timer remaining. So yeah, I could get the timer remaining off the timer handle, but not the. I couldn't stop the timer. I'm sure there's definitely a way to do that. I'm sure there is, but I was kind of running out of time and did it the way I did. And then I make this canvas item, set the scale of the canvas item, and draw the item. I guess so. We can also look at the menu blueprint, and the menu level. That's what you want to call it. Let's see. And then we got this menu blueprint. I had to do this I could not find a way to do this in C++ code. So this is all blueprints. If you open up the graph, this is what the stuff looks like, by the way. On clicked button 124, that's going to be, God damn it, this one. This button, the start game. Then it opens the level and it sets the mouse cursor to invisible, because on that menu the mouse cursor is visible. And then for the other one, there's just a quit game function that you could just stick it in there. And then for the main menu level itself, let's see, blueprints, open level blueprint. I didn't even know that was a thing until basically there was a tutorial I found on making a main menu level, and the creator's name leaves me, but someone did this and I basically copied it straight out. On begin play, you instantiate this menu widget, you add to the viewport, and you set the mouse cursor to visible. And that let me just kind of do this real easy drag and drop like menu. But it's not very fancy, but it needs to be. I would have liked to be able to display the score of the last play in there, but I would like, the only way I can think to do that off the top of my head was to make a C++ like singleton or something that I could access and like get the last score out of. But I'm sure there's a different way they'd want you to, like, when you load the level, give it a payload, and that payload could have data, and then I could take that data out and display it on the next level. But another weird thing is this coupling they have between maps, which are their levels or their scenes in Unity, and game modes. Game modes is something that Unity really has any analogy to, or any analogous like concept to. So you look at this, the main menu game mode and the Doki Doki Pizza Shooter thing mode. Originally the game was going to be very different. Okay, the game was going to be very, very different. And you see this one actually has no code in it. There's nothing in it. I just needed to give the main menu, the map thing, a game mode, because originally it was set to the same game mode as the actual game playing, and there was no way I could stop it from like allowing you to shoot or displaying the HUD that it shouldn't be displaying in that game mode. So I just made a new one and said, okay, we can have this. So every map needs to have a game mode. I'm trying to see if I can remember where there's a menu where you set that, and it could be in here, because this is the main menu. No, I don't think it's here. But there's a way, there's some settings menu where you set that, and I did it once. Editor preference? No, of course not going to be editor preference. But